Hopefully this video will be helpful to you to installing your new Rasmussen steering arm extender. What we have here is a 2012 M800, the HCR package. It does have the vertical post. When you get this installed, it'll improve your turning radius, your side hilling ability, and your all-around backcountry experience. So I'll go ahead and explain what we're going to do, and then we'll go through it and do it for you. First, we'll start by coming down here, the boot on your tie rod end here. We'll drill out these top 5 rivets. This one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. At that point, we'll come back up to the top of the sled, turn the bars just a little bit, expose the drag link bolt. We'll undo this drag link bolt, turn the bars back. We'll gain access to the bottom drag link down next to your exhaust valve motor here. We'll undo that. We'll undo the 2 torques back up here at the top of the steering post. And then there's one on the very bottom where we've removed the boot on the spherical end of the bottom of the steering post. At that point, we'll remove the post from the sled and install the extender on the post. Okay, we have the drill bit with the 3/16 drill. We're going to drill out these 5 rivets. Okay, now you can fold this boot back. This hole here is where we'll gain access to the bottom of the steering post. Next, we have the 13mm wrench and the T40 torch socket. We'll undo this bolt here. Remove that drag link. Okay, next we're going to have our long extension with our 15mm socket. You might need to turn your skis a little bit to find the nut on the bottom drag link down here. Go down next to your steering post. Going to have to hold your skis and undo this nut. Okay, now we'll gain our access through this boot to catch the nut, take the nut off the last little bit here, and that'll undo the bottom drag link. Like that. Okay, now we have the post removed from the snowmobile. We need to grab our Rasmussen steering arm extender, get it started in the D there, the double D. It might not go in all the way, no worries. We got to make a modification to this, so with it like that, just get it started, make sure it's located the right way. Scribe yourself a couple lines here is what I like to do. This isn't the only way to do this. You can die grind it. Some guys have drilled them. Now that I have these 2 lines, I'm going to go over on my disc sander and grind that flat. Okay, as you see, I've been over on the disc sander. I've ground the majority of that material off. I've ground to my 2 scribed lines. If we put the steering arm extender in, there's still just a little tiny bit of material there. What I like to do is just take a drill and drill that out. Okay, now that we have the end ground, we're going to install our extender for good. You need to get your 1032 button head out of your kit. Screw it into this hole. This is for the ease of assembly, to keep everything together while you assemble it. Okay, now that we've snugged that down, we want to roll this over to the bottom. Take our 13/32 drill bit, 390 thou diameter, and go through here. Now we have a round hole. Okay, if you own one of these sleds, you've probably recently just received a service bulletin from Arctic Cat. This is the area that they have pictures of where it's a double D similar to this on the bottom of your drag link. You have to make sure that it gets seated all the way in the double D like this. Some of them from Cat was not seated like this and they still put the nut on. It has to be seated all the way down in like this. Okay, you fish this down through all your throttle bodies and the power valve and everything. Got to line it up with the hole here. Once you get it through that hole, the double D should head against that bracket. Grab your nut. It's on a different angle than you'd think. It's kind of kicked off to one side. Tighten it up with the ratchet. Make sure it's good and tight. Then we're going to come back up to the top. Grab our plastic bushing. This installs with this half round thing to the right side of the snowmobile. Goes through the holes. Grab your T30 and your 10mm wrench. Tighten these up. Okay, I'm just finishing tightening these down. Note that the throttle cable is back through the round hole there. Grab your 13mm wrench and your bolt for your drag link here. And the T40 Torx socket. Remember, you can't turn this to make it easier to get to. Grab my ratchet, tighten this up. Make sure that's good and tight. We don't want that coming undone. Now we need to drop down to the bottom. At this point we need to gain our access through the rubber boot again with the supplied flat washer and nut. One critical part that you need to remember is you have to put red Loctite on your nut. Come up through here. Make sure your linkage gets through the hole. Gets the double D seated. Put your washer on. Start your nut. Okay, once you're to that point, then you have to come back up to the top with your long extension, and now you need a 17mm socket. Remember, if you need to turn your steering to gain access to this, you can. Make sure it's good and tight. Once you have it tight, you need to come back down here, look through your boot, and verify right here that the double D is actually seated in your Rasmussen extender. Just like the service bulletin you should have got from Arctic Cat. Okay, with the boot pulled down, just verify again that your double D is seated, that you do have your red Loctite on your nut, and then supplied in your kit is your 5 black aluminum washers to put your boot back on. Okay, The last of the 5 rivets being installed here. Now we're ready to grind your spindles. Okay, now we're ready for the final operation here, which is grinding the stops on your spindles. This part right here, the point, is the actual stop. When it swings over, it actually should come in contact or be really close to coming in contact with your A-arm. What we're going to do, I've already swung it over there, made some marks with a magic marker. We're going to remove between 3/8 and a ½ inch of material here. Now, the material of the spindle is actually aluminum, so get an aluminum bit for your die grinder and use some WD-40 and we'll grind all this out. What you want to happen is you want the spindle to come in contact with the A-arm at the same point that the vertical post hits its stops. It has its own separate stops they have to hit simultaneously. Okay. Okay, now you can see the final product. We've actually ground this stop all the way, not quite to my marker down here. You do have to kind of tilt your die grinder in this direction. The inside material needs to be removed a little more than the outside material, but that's the finished product. Okay, now we're ready to do the same thing to the other spindle. A little bit more. Okay, once you think you're to where you need to be, you should be able to turn your steering. Watch your stops right down here on the bottom of your vertical post. It should hit. You should be able to probably wiggle your ski just a little bit and see that you're touching down here against your A-arm. I have a little bit of wiggle, so I know I'm just right there. So that's the finished product. Thanks for your purchase of your Rasmussen steering arm extender. Please enjoy the backcountry and be safe.